pieces in my life go away with you. Forever in my mind, only you. The pieces in my life run away with you. You're my first love. You're my first love. You're my first love. You're my first love.
Good afternoon everybody and welcome to live coverage of this round number 12 of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula SimRacing World Trophy. My name is Scott Woodwiss, I'm commentating for you this afternoon. I will have James Tucker alongside me because he is currently sim-syncing his game together, so he will be with us for warm-up, but we have just started Q2 for this Japanese Grand Prix here at Suzuka, and the man who comes into it fastest of Q1 is Alvaro Torres for the Positive Sim Racing team. Cars are coming out onto track now to set their times. This session is purely a 5-minute qualifying session. They get one single flying lap, but they get to go out whenever they like on track. So the top 10 in qualifying, as we look at it right now, for this session are Alvaro Torres for Positive Sim Racing, Franz Schneider for Ghost Speed, who's currently out there on circuit, Norbert Liebner for Crown Silver and Netrex Tradition, Carlos Martin for Fast and Speed, Jorik Bochevet for GS Pro Engineering, who is out on circuit, then Fernando Guerrero for PSR, Ben Tusting for Haxball, one of the championship contenders, and his championship rival Mark Alberts down in 8th, and then Adrian Falcon and Jonathan Holmes rounding out the top 10 for what we see in qualifying. I think the first man to set a tie is probably going to be Franz Schneider, so what we'll do is we will go with him and see what he can turn out in terms of a qualifying lap. But he exits the Casio Triangle and fires his Ghost Speed World Trophy machine onto the pit straight, and away he goes to start the lap. And just running down towards this downhill charge towards the first corner, and you fly through at about 160 miles an hour through this double apex right-hander. Then you start heading towards the S-curves around the back of the pits, and this is a fantastic sequence of corners. You're going left and right, but just constantly. The direction change is so quick because it's such a high-speed section. And this is what makes this circuit a very front-limited circuit. Through the Dunlop corner, another long left-hander as the circuit goes uphill. You then come towards an incredibly fast part, the Degner curves. And look at how much curve he took on the inside through there. And the second part using the AstroTurf on the run-up underneath the crossover. And now as he charges up towards the hairpin, second gear, about 80 kilometers an hour. Second gear to help with traction, and then back through the gears again. Through his long curving right-hander past the chicane which the motorbikes use. Now towards the end of the second sector, as he heads through the double apex spoon curve. A lot of double apex corners here at Suzuka, using the AstroTurf on the exits. A little bit of a risky strategy there. And now he starts to charge over the crossover towards the end of the second sector timing beam, as he gets it now through 130R at 307 kilometers an hour, and then charging down towards the braking zone for the Casio triangle. Right, then left. Schneider clouts the curbs with perfection, and now he starts his run for the line, and he'll bring the car to the right hand side, or maybe he won't. Across the line he goes. It's a 131.333 to put in provisional pole position. Now at the moment next we've got Boshov in GS Pro Engineering car will come across the line. He only goes to second, of course, 132.089. Leaton's going to come across the line. He was quick in the session. Second, he goes to second. And here comes now, who is that? That's Mark Albertson. He goes to second with a 1:31.779. So at the moment, it's an all-go speed front row on the grid. But is anyone going quicker? Well, Alvaro Torres, the man who was quickest in Q1, is currently out there setting his outlap, as is Carlos Martin. And also we've got Fernando Guerrero out there. So both of the Biocross Positive Sim Racing cars are out there at the moment, waiting to set their times. We have got Ben Tusting, one of the championship contenders, is currently setting a lap time right now. Currently P9 in the stand in the order right now, because he hasn't set a time, but he makes his way through the S curves behind the back of the pits. Of course, Ben Tustin second in the championship, as he currently sits on points wise. He currently sits on 218 points. Mark Alberts leading with 267. Through the deck as he goes, and he's currently off by a tenth and a half. So French Schneider. So right now he's looking pretty good to try and get himself onto the front row and split those go speeds. But whether or not he can do that, we'll have to wait and see. A clean and tidy exit out of the hairpin. He'll keep the car to the right hand side, a tighter line through this long curving right hander towards the double apex left of the spoon. Clips the apex on the first one. Doesn't use any exit curve. And again, doesn't actually hit the curb, but he spots the apex nicely, and he uses a lot of the exit curve coming out of it. Now we come up towards the timing beam for the second sector. Has he found any more time on Franz Schneider? And the answer to that is he has. He found another tenth or so, so he's only 0.06 of a second off from pole position. So this has to be a mighty final sector here from Tustin. Uses all the curb on the left and glances the curb on the right as well, and heads down towards the pit straight. Holds it onto the inside for the best shortest possible runs to the line. Is it pole? No, it's not. It's P2, but only by 0.124 of a second, 131.456. I think we've had all the times come through. I don't actually think both of the... no, I'm telling a lie, because now both the Biocross Positive cars setting a time. This is now on board now with Guerrero. He comes across the line, and where does he put himself? He puts himself into P10, so actually it's not a quick time at all. Also, we're still now waiting for Martin and Torres. So Torres is only 4 tenths off Schneider's pole time, as is Carlos Martin. This is going to be pretty intriguing to see how this plays out. Torres has found more time. Keep an eye on Martin then. Heads through the final chicane, followed by Torres. And Martin powers for the line. Where's this time going to put him? And the faster speed driver goes to P4. Great stuff. And where is Torres going to go? He'll go third, 1:31.630. So a rather fast and frantic qualifying session, but the top 10 plays out like this. And here's as far as Franz Schneider takes pole position with his teammate Mark, with no Ben Tustin, one of the championship contenders in P2. P3 goes to Alvaro Torres, with Mark Alberts the championship leader in P4. Carlos Martin with a fantastic effort to get himself fifth, ahead of Norbert Lietner for Crown 7 Netrex Tradition. Then Boshov is 7th for GS Pro Engineering, with Fernando Guerrero in P8, and then Jonathan Holmes in P9 for Roberto GP, and Adrian Falcon for P10. We've got someone chatting in the chat here whilst people are doing their laps, so I think he may get penalised for that one. But that is your top 10 in qualifying. Apologies, the broadcast came a little bit late. We had one or two technical difficulties, shall we say. But we have got everything sorted, and hopefully James Tucker will join me in the commentary box very soon, at least in the server. So we're now at the end of Q2, and what we'll do right now is, whilst we wait to get James in and switch over to warm up, we are going to play our sponsor video as we normally do. Say our thanks to Thrustmaster for their continued support, and we play this little videoette about their flagship product, the T500 RS racing wheels. So stay with us. We'll be back in 2 for warm up, and then the World Trophy Japanese Grand Prix. And welcome back to live coverage of this round, actually 11 I think, not round 12, of the FSR World Trophy here at Suzuka. Big thanks to Thrustmaster again for their continued support, and of course if you want to pick up a T500 RS racing wheel, then be sure to head to places such as Amazon or eBay, or if you want more information, head to thrustmaster.com for all info on that. So we're currently in warm-up. I'm just watching, as the response video was going, a fantastic little duel, which the likes of Gabriele Del Piccolo and a few other drivers were in. Well, they all managed to go through, practically run 3 wide down the pit straight, and somehow make it through turn 1 without them making contact, before Kevin Siggy had to go and ruin it and spin at Degner curves and cause a bit of collision. But nevertheless, of course I'm only joking, but that's going to be pretty intriguing to see how that plays out. So first couple of times are coming in then for warm-up, and currently top of the times is Renz Klopp, who was watching yesterday's World Series race, so hello to Renz. 137.713 is his fastest time, ahead of Alessio Campos for Crown 7 Netrex, 138.5, and then we've got 139.1 for Norbert Lietner, 139.5 for Leonardo de Souza in the Snow Shatton Racing Team car, with that fantastic black, white and blue livery on that car. And then the second Badti Pescara Uane team machine of Michael Francesconi's P5, and he's currently tailing Norbert Lietner and Kevin Siggy. So obviously these guys just, oh, and as I say that, Norbert Lietner has just exited stage right, into the barrier on the exit of the Degner curves, and I'm sure he'll exit back to the pits and quickly go and grab himself another race car, of which these guys do get many. Moving on, Renz Klopp is now just behind De Souza, but whilst what goes on with just about 5.5 minutes left to go, let's have a little look at the championship standings coming in to round number 11 here at Suzuka. So top of the table is currently Mark Alberts with 267 points for Ghost Speed. Ben Tusting for Hacksball is second with 218. Carlos Martin is third with 205. Daniel Kiss, the man who won last time out at Monza, has 196 points. Renz Klopp, currently fastest in the practice session. I believe he is still fastest. Yes, he is, in fact, so that's good. So P5 so far in the standings for Renz Klopp. Franz Schneider is P6, an early championship contender, but of course he dropped out, just not appearing in a few races. But Franz Schneider P6 with 172 points. Jonathan Holmes is 7th with 162. Then Alvaro Torres, 141. Giordano Valeriano, 9th with 134. And then Alessio Campos, just 1 point ahead of Marco Zippoli with 121 points. Teams Championship, Ghost Speed currently lead it, unsurprisingly, 485 from Batu Pashkara Uwain on 357. Biocross Positive a third with 298, 2 points ahead of Abuto GP with 296. Positive Sim Racing Junior Team Orange are 5th with 239. Hacksball Racing 6th with 218. Twister Racing is 7th with 206. Positive Sim Racing Junior Team Green 8th with 188. 9th is Crown, and then 9th and 10th are the two Crown 7 Netrex teams. The Works team 9th with 163, and then the Crown 7 Netrex Tradition Machine team with 132 points. And there's a significant gap down to 11th place Night Racing on 85, but they're 2 points ahead of Batu Pashkara Trey. So that's the championship standings coming into it. What about Suzuka itself? Well, Suzuka, of course, is a track located in the Mie Prefecture of Japan. It was designed back in 1962 by Dutchman John Hugenholtz. It is one of those few circuits which, as we said, has a figure-of-8 layout. It's been modified quite a few times. Held its first Japanese Grand Prix back in 1988, one of the last years for the turbo era in Formula 1. And as such, it is a circuit that is owned by Honda. It's operated by Mobility Land Corporation, which is a subsidiary of Honda Motor Company. And it has some fantastic attractions, including the fun fair. They have the huge big iconic Ferris wheel that you get just on the edge of the circuit that dominates the skyline around this circuit here at Suzuka. But it is a driver's favourite, and it is one which some drivers love to come to, of course, with its high-speed corners, such as the S-curves behind the pits, as we mentioned. And then, of course, you've got the long Dunlop corner with Degner curves are pretty awesome as well. And then you've got the spoon curve, the crossover towards the 130 yard, then the large braking zone for the Casio triangle. And this is very, as you said, it's very much more of a front-limited circuit where the front tyres take a lot more punishment than the rear. There's not really that much stop-start apart from the hairpin and the Casio triangle. The rest of it is all long corners and high-speed turns, which means that a lot of the front end grip is going to take a lot of hammering, and of course there's going to be so much going on in terms of tyre wear. Those left side tyres are going to be absolutely roasting because it is a clockwise circuit. So looking at the time, less than 2 minutes left to go. I think they've just been gridded up again. In fact, we are going to the next session right now. And James Tucker, I believe, is disconnected, so hopefully he might be able to get back in. If he can't, it'll possibly just have to be me solo, unfortunately. But I'll do my best to see what I can do. So 40 laps await the drivers for this afternoon's race. Of course, this is the precursor to the main event, which is obviously the World Championship Grand Prix, with the likes of Bono Huis taking part, and Jack Keithley and Jerne Simoncic and all those top names as well. Samuel Lebert too. So Franz Schneider has just got himself onto the grid in time, as has Ben Tusting. So the cars then make their way off onto their formation lap, and we'll run through the grid from pole to the back of the grid. So on the pole is Franz Schneider for Ghost Speed Racing. Alongside him on the front row is going to be Ben Tusting. And judging by yesterday's World Series race, the inside of the track is not necessarily the bad place to be, because of course our factor doesn't really simulate dirt and dust off the racing line. It is possible that wherever you start, inside or outside, to get a fantastic start, regardless of your starting position. So watch out for Ben Tustin, because if he gets himself a good enough launch, he could get his nose in front by the time they reach the first corner. Alvaro Torres sits P3 for Positive Sim Racing, ahead of the championship leader and second of the Go Speed cars, Mark Alberts. He's back in P4 and knows he has to do everything he can to prevent Ben Tustin from scoring points to dig into his championship lead. Carlos Martin is currently P5 for Fast and Speed, ahead of Norbert Lietner, who in P6, and then P7, Jurek Boschevet for GS Pro Engineering. Fernando Guerrero for the second Positive car is 8th. Jonathan Holmes is 9th, and Adrian Falcon is P10. Outside the top 10, best of the rest in the backcourt car is James Sadler. And then Daniel Kiss, the man who won last time out for Twister, back in P12, couldn't make the top 10 this time out, so obviously not enjoying Suzuka as much as other people. Michael Francesconi is P13, with Alessio Campos P14. Then Balazs Galliard P15, and then Leonardo Souza in the Snow Shatton racing car P16. Kevin Siggy, usually a front runner at times, down in P17 today for the Positive Green Team, Positive Junior Green Team. Giordano Valeriano P18 with Dennis, I'm going to say Basili on that one, that's a silent J, in P19. P20 is Paul Burnt, and then Rano Muru, Miko Suokas, Joao Gabriel, DeWald Nell, Renz Klopp at the back of the grid, and Gabriele Del Piccolo round out the 26 car grid. I can hear stuff in noise movement, which I do believe possibly James Tucker has joined us. Good afternoon, James.
Good afternoon. I'm having a few problems, I'm afraid, with SimSync due to my very slow wooden internet, but I'm still working on trying to get in the server. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Well, you might be able to watch an RRD view. I'm sure Sam can give you the pass. I had that same problem yesterday when I couldn't get in after I disconnected. But for the moment, I think live timing should be available, so you can gel along with that and look along with the stream. But last few cars are into place then, so we are all set then for 40 laps of this afternoon's World Trophy Grand Prix, round 11 of the championship. What can Mark Alberts do to extend that championship lead? Can Ben Tustin do anything about that at all? Here come the lights then one by one, ready for the start here. Lights are up and revs are up here for the start of Suzuka. And we are away and racing here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's look at that. Looks like Schneider got a good start, but Tustin's got the inside line towards turn one, and he will get the whole shot into the corner. Schneider tries to go around the outside with Alvaro Torres slotting to P3, and Ben Tustin has grabbed the lead. A small twitch of oversteer has forced Schneider back onto his outside, and he gets the lead back before the S-curves. A brilliant start for Franz Schneider and Ben Tustin. And so as they make their way through the behind the pits to the S-curves, it's Schneider from Tustin, then Torres, Alberts and Martin, so the top 5 is unchanged. We've got Beauchamp ahead of Lietner in P6, with Holmes in P8 up to P8 past Guerrero and Daniel Kiss. Kiss has made up 2 spots already. And as they filter through Dunlop curve towards the Degners, it's been a great start so far, and a clean one at that, which is rather surprising for a World Trophy race, I can tell you that now. Up towards the hairpin for the first time. And Schneider's still leading there, but he's got Ben Tustin right there on his rear wing, and Torres is looking to pounce as well. As they head now through the 200R, this very long right-hander, very fast up towards the spoon curve, then at the end, near the end of the second sector, which will come at the sector timing beam at the end of the long straight towards 130R. And Tustin now has been challenged by Alvaro Torres already. Schneider trying to break away from this lead pack. So up towards the crossover they come. And it is Schneider who leads them. Tustin still second, then Torres. And championship leader Marco was back in 4th position. Is behind in the background. Daniel Kiss is now trying to make it past Campos. He's lost a place to Campos, in fact, when he goes to the outside down towards the Casio Triangle. And they'll go 3 wide around Guerrero. Oh, how have they got through there without contact? That was incredible. I think there was a bit of rubbing, but Guerrero was just sat there thinking, hold on a minute, boys, it's only the first lap, steady on. And Guerrero's getting feisty at the back, but at the front quickly, that's Alvaro Torres trying to go around the outside of Tustin at the first corner. Oh, and Alberts is off! Alberts is off! Mark Alberts is off into the gravel at the end of turn 2, and so many cars have done that in the race over the weekend, and Mark Alberts, championship leader, has pushed himself down to 15th place. So this could be serious implications of a championship, because if he can't get himself back through the field in the early laps, that could seriously affect his status right now. But a championship status and his championship lead, I think possibly Ben Tustin must be rubbing his hands with delight in that cockpit. Well, not literally, because he'll take his hands off the wheel and make exactly the same mistake, but he'll be smiling away in that, under that helmet, knowing that he's in P2 And his team and his championship rival is all the way back down to potentially only score 10 points, where Tusting at the moment will score 40 if he stays in second place. And there's more fighting going on behind. That's Campus and Guerrero going side by side, and just behind Daniel Kiss, we've got Adrian Falcon and Valeriano battling over P11. So battles galore. They seem to have sorted themselves out for the moment, but that is a dramatic development there for the championship. And Martin Gosby had a more dissimilar fate when he disconnected from the lead and subsequently lost the championship lead in the World Series, which goes to eventual race winner and the man who won from pole, Peter Burlak. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But cars comes to the end of lap 2, and Schneider and Tusting are starting to break away from Torres at the front. Carlos Martin's up to P4 now, of course, thanks to Mark Albert's mistake. Then we've got Boshov in P6 ahead of Leitner. Then Jonathan Holmes P8. Campus is now in Holmes P7 ahead of P8 Alessio Campus. And then Guerrero, Kiss, Valeriano and Falcon. This foursome charging down towards the first corner as one, and that group is currently still headed by Guerrero. And Fernando Guerrero had a great race last time out. I think he got himself into the top 5 at Monza. He's now running in the top 10, so obviously he prefers circuits with lower downforce, it seems, or just Monza was a circuit to his liking. But Daniel Kiss, of course, the man who won last time out at Monza, who's, as we've said, only reaching the outside, the fringes of the top 10, but Kiss is looking pretty racy today because he is right onto the rear wing of Fernando Guerrero. Now, will he try and make a move up towards the hairpin? There's always a scope of getting himself up the inside, but the Spaniard holds on for the moment, and the Hungarian has to think about it for a moment and slots back in behind the positive sim racing car. And looking back at the front quickly, Schneider has now got Tusting right with him, and again they really have broken away from Torres. Torres has a small gap to Carlos Martin in P4, and whilst we're watching that, Daniel Kiss has passed Guerrero at Spoon Curve, but back at the front, Tusting just darted out and left his car on the inside just for a moment to give Schneider something to think about and try and defend that line, but Schneider was wise to it and realised that Tusting was never going to try and pass on that far back, and felt that he was safe on the outside line. Started lap 4 of 40 today, so we're a tenth of the way through the race already. And Schneider and Tusting pretty much head through the first corner as one. A wider run through the exit from Schneider. Tusting took a tighter line, and I don't think that's compromised his exit, but now we come to a very tricky part where you really don't want to get stuck behind a car, because with these corners here, the S-curves, with the circuit being so front limited, getting stuck behind another car and being caught in the dirty air is going to cause havoc on tyre temperatures and tyre wear. So Schneider then is, while he's leading, he's also causing a bit of headache for Ben Tusting through that section. But once we start to get onto the high-speed section, such as the run through the 200R, down the back straight and also down the pit straight once again, Tusting will be able to close in a little bit more. And if he can just stay as close as he is right now, that will give him a great chance to try and pass, possibly down towards 130R and the Casio triangle. As leaders carry on, Torres still in third, pulling away from Martin in P4, then Boshov in P5, and now the two Netrex cars, Norbert Liebler in the Netrex Tradition car and Campus in the Works Netrex machine, currently doing battle over P5, or P6, sorry. And Daniel Kiss is now up to P8, of course, and behind it's Guerrero and Valeriano side by side, and Guerrero just gets himself in front. And a huge lock-up from somebody in front. Couldn't see who that was. But Valeriano and Guerrero now go side to side, and Valeriano has made the move stick. And the next person who he's going to come under attack from is Adrian Falcon in the GS Pro Engineering car, and the three cars now in a snake as they catch the slipstream down the straight. And Guerrero tries to look up the inside, but realised he wasn't far alongside. And that's a car off, that's Boshov, I think. It is. You're right, Boshov has gone off the circuit in exactly the same place that Mark Alberts did. And he rejoins, ironically, behind his sister teammate. And Mark Alberts, in fact, he's made it up to P12. So he's made it up a few places, but he needs to do a lot more work than that to try and get himself into serious point-scoring contention. And then maybe we can get a replay of what happened to Boshov, looking back at him. And I think he just... Let's have a look here. And it was trying to go around the outside of Carlos Martin that he did that, and Oh, there was contact between the two cars, and Martin also went off into the gravel, but didn't go as far in. And he rejoined, but Martin rejoined just behind Daniel Kiss, and Boshoff was several places further back from that. But back into P13, so that first corner, very dangerous to try and make moves here. But still, as they head down the back straight once again for the fifth time out of 40, and back at the front, Schneider and Tusting still together. But Schneider just started to gap Tusting just a tiny bit to get him out of range and out of striking distance, and lock up again. Huge lock up from Schneider as he trail braked into the Casio triangle. And a huge black line of rubber in there. Back to Carlos Martin. Oh! Martin and Valeriano, what on earth has happened there? A huge accident between the two of them. And that, we need to see a replay of that, because that was his. Let's look at the replay then. So Valeriano moving across on Carlos Martin. And that was just a one-way collision for both cars. And well, you think about it, looking at that, for me, that was Valeriano moving across on Martin, leaving him didn't leave him a car's width at all. I'm surprised how Valeriano's car still has all four wheels on it, but Martin is out of the race, and that's a real shame as he started in the top five. And Valeriano is in the pits, getting a front and rear wing refitted, but I'm surprised at how that car's going to last any longer. Because, in fact, he's going back out again, but how much damage has that car sustained? Because surely it's too much to carry on, especially suspension damage. And he did hit the tyres side on, so maybe that hasn't caused too much, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's poor fortune for Carlos Martin. Gets caught up in an instant with Jaakko Boshoff, which pushes him wide. And then further away around the lap, it's two incidents in one lap, unfortunately. And he has to unfortunately suffer from two accidents which really weren't his fault. But nevertheless, that's how it works, and that's how racing goes sometimes. Back at the front then, Franz Schneider still leads by a second now from Alvaro Torres in P3. Alessio Campos in P4, and Daniel Kiss is up to P5 through all the shenanigans. And just behind, was that Falcon and Guerrero battling? It was, and Falcon has got past Guerrero again, but he runs onto the grass. And I think he lost traction on the exit of the final corner, and that just lets Guerrero straight back through. And of course, Falcon now has to deal with behind him both Mark Alberts and Jaakko Boshoff. And I'm sure that Falcon will see this in his rearview mirrors. And as is the case with sister teams in FSR, I'm pretty sure he will obligingly move over and allow Al Alberts through, because of course Al Alberts needs all the points he can get in the championship fight. We'll do a quick check. James, you still with us? Are you still watching the race?
I am. I'm watching the race on the stream, which is about 30 seconds behind you actually commentating, unfortunately. So I'm seeing all the excitement and all the incidents that you're commentating on, but I can't quite offer my opinion at the moment because I'm just so far behind you.
Well, and hopefully we saw the incident between Valeriano and Martin. What did you think of that one? Because looking at that from the replay, Valeriano just seemed to move across and didn't leave Martin anything near a car's width.
That's exactly what happened. He's at the most dangerous corner on the circuit as well. I can't even explain it. Apart from perhaps a steering wheel issue or something broken, I really can't begin to explain what he was doing there.
Well, you do get some cases where you think you're going straight, and obviously then you start to just drift off into the path of the other car. That's due to wheel settings, unfortunately. But then, of course, that's down to individual drivers rather than the sim or the server doing that. So. But how unlucky is Carlos Martin? He starts in the top 5, and of course I think he's a championship contender. I say that like that because I wanted to double check it. He is. He's 205 points. So the man is third in the championship. Scores no points today. And of course Daniel Kiss is still running. He's only 9 points behind. So Carlos Martin looks as though he's going to drop down the order, potentially because Renz Klopp could leapfrog him if he gets enough points also. Although Renz Klopp himself is in P12, so he's actually making some nice progress through the field from the back of the pack. So great driving so far from Renz Klopp to get himself into the top 15 and just outside the top 10. But you have to feel for Martin. That's such a harsh set of circumstances for him to become a victim of.
Yeah, it certainly is. It was just the wrong place at the wrong time, really, if it was something failing on his car. Especially right there, just before 130R, the fastest part of the circuit, fastest corner on a lot of circuits is 130R. Really, really enjoyable corner. Usually, when you're on your own, you can't go too wide through there, and you certainly can't go on the grass through there.
Just heading on towards, looking back at the battle for P3, Alessio Campos is starting to close in on Alvaro Torres here for that final podium spot. I guess we should really talk about strategy here, because I'm expecting drivers to possibly do either a one stop or a two stop, because we're on to lap 7 now. And yesterday, I think the consensus was to do a three stop, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I would expect drivers to possibly, because it's only a 40 lap race, to maybe do two stops. Maybe do a soft tyre stint in the early laps and then do 2 hard tyre runs. Maybe even do soft, hard, soft. Or we'll have to wait and see. Or maybe some drivers are feeling confident they want to go on a one-stop strategy and run on the hard tyre for 2 20-lap stints. But because of course the World Trophy and World Series is not bound by the same tyre rules that the World Championship is. Because in the World Championship you have to not only start the race on the compound that you qualified on, but also have to use both compounds during a race, both the soft and hard compound. So these guys in the World Series and World Trophy are not bound by that rule, so they can use whatever strategy they want, piss as many times as they want on whatever tyres they want to they choose for the duration of the Grand Prix. Back at the front quickly, Franz Schneider has pulled away from Ben Tustin. The gap is now now 2 seconds. With Alvaro Torres being steadily reeled in now by Alessio Campos. Daniel Kiss is now broken away from Norbert Lietner, and Kiss holds P5 while Lietner is now P6. Fernando Guerrero appears to have gotten back past Adrian Falcon. So he's now fending off that GS Pro Engineering car, with Mark Alberts ahead of Mark Boshov. No, in fact, no, he's not, in fact. But no, both of them have got past Boshov. So what I predicted has come to pass, and both Falcon and Alberts have got through. But I think Alberts and Falcon have swapped places, because Falcon's gone off and run away from Alberts, and Alberts needs all the points he can get. So I'm surprised why. Then again, Alberts seems to have lost some pace, so he's not actually running at the same kind of race pace that he maybe would have expected. But I have to keep an eye on this one and see how that plays out. James, I believe you're watching on the stream. Is it a YouTube stream by any chance?
Yeah, I'm on the YouTube stream at the moment. I was on the FSR stream, that was even further behind.
Because what we could do, we did a nice little thing yesterday with the World Series where, of course, we do have, if we stream on YouTube, hello to everyone in the comments, just to prove we do read them. And we definitely see if we can get some of the whatever's going on with some of the guys in the stream. If you guys do have any questions at all, or any shout-outs, anything you have observed in the stream, anything you've found out, do be sure to get in touch in the chat. I'm sure James can keep us informed what's going on, as can I as well. I'm just getting the stream up myself so I can get the chat box up so we can see exactly who is saying what.
I think you'll find it's only me really commenting in there at the moment.
We've got 32 people watching, so hello to all 32 people who are tuning in this morning or this afternoon, wherever you might be watching in the world. I did see one question: why no highlights anymore? Actually, as it stands out, if you mean the World Championship, but a bit of a hiatus on that one. But World Championship highlights are coming back today. In fact, there will be highlights tonight, with the highlights from the World Championship race in Germany will be released tonight. Then later on next week is going to be the ones for Hungary, and we are still currently working on the Valencia and Monza highlights, and they will be out as soon as possible. So don't worry, highlights are coming back. That took a bit of a break. It's always our own kind of, if you like, impromptu, unplanned summer break, if you want, but we've got them back. And secondly, and where's Baldi? Baldi is not racing in this series because he's a World Championship driver, not a World Trophy driver. So this is the World Trophy race, which is the kind of the third tier. So that is the reason why he's not racing, because he is a World Championship driver, not a World Trophy driver. So there we go. Let's have a look. No more questions just yet, so hopefully that answered your questions, Dylan Relay or Wheel. So back to the front of Franz Schneider with a 2.3 second advantage over Ben Tustin still. with Alvaro Torres in P3, ahead of Alessio Campos in P4. Daniel Kiss runs 5th, and definitely looking to make inroads on the 2 cars in front. Now Adrian Falcon is battling away with Fernando Guerrero again. He's closed right in onto the rear wing of the Positive Sim Racing car, and now the 2 cars will start the climb up the hill, across the crossover, and onto 130R. This corner was tightened back in 2003 after huge accidents, and Falcon will now go to the outside of Guerrero. Will he make a move it, try and make it stick? Oh, that was close. Falcon was probably inches away from losing his front wing, or at least tipping Guerrero into a spin. But Falcon has managed to hold on for the moment. And I think, do we have a pit caller? Because I think I've just seen someone drop down. I don't think we do. I think that's probably just something just changing over on the timing beam, possibly, because someone didn't cross the timing line. So unchanged top 10 so far. Mark Albert's still P9 ahead of recovering after his early laps. He's mistaken the early laps. And Beauchov is staying with him in P10. Looking back down the field, Rens Klopp has got past his teammate Michael Francesconi. He's now P11 ahead of, and then we've got now Leonardo de Souza battling away with Miko Suokas for P13. So maybe we can take a look at that. It's Snow Shatton versus Sisu Jeep Grand Prix, and then Dennis Basili for Bad T Pescara Corsa. Oh, just I say that, Basili almost lost the back end of his car in the middle of the Degner curves, but managed to get it crossed, gathered together, and he maintains P15. And then the rest of the order, we've got Jonathan Holmes down in P16. He's dropped down from the top 10. That's rather surprising to see him fall back through the order.
Apparently something happened to him. We don't know what yet, but he had some sort of a problem.
We'll hopefully we can get some more info on that later on, but for the meantime we look back at Suokas, who is swarming all over the back of the saddle. Will he look to the inside at 130R? He doesn't, but he stays close, and he'll try and make a move to the Casio triangle, darts out. But again, he's forced de Souza to outbrake himself. That's the classic move, just to swarm all over the back of the driver, just try and distract him in his mirrors, and he's done just that. And that now puts de Souza in down to 14 and Suokas up to P13. Next target, of course, is going to be chasing after Francesconi, and then Rens Klopp in the 2 Bad T Pescara Uane machines. Now back at the front, any changes just yet? Not yet, because Francesconi still leads. The gap's up to 3 seconds now, so a further 7/10 has been stretched out since last time. And Torres is in a bit of is kind of on his own at the moment in P3. He's 8.2 seconds off the lead. He's some 5 seconds back behind Tusting, but some 7 seconds ahead of Daniel Kiss. And in fact, I think we have had a pit call. I think it must be Alessio Campos, because Campos is back down in P10, and Daniel Kiss is up to P4. So just ahead, I'm seeing Yorick Beauchov is actually just in front of Campos, has just got past Mark Alberts. So the championship leader, probably not too impressed with that, but he tried to make a move down the inside at the first pass of the spoon curve, and he couldn't pull it off. And in fact, he's gone wide, and I think Alberts is in trouble. I think his tyres have overstayed their welcome. And as a result, Alessio Campos is now going side by side. Now switches to the inside at the last minute towards the 130R. But again, just not far enough alongside him. Alberts is looking a little bit wayward, in fact. He looks like he's a little bit all over the place. And is Alberts going to pit? No, he carries on. So obviously he feels comfortable with whatever tyres he's running. But he will come under attack from a fresh tyre shod Alessio Campos sometime soon. And Campos again dives to the inside, trying to force Alberts to run deep into the first corner, but Alberts is having none of it. And Campos now doing a grand job to hold on, but he's actually getting held up at the moment. Trying to get an undercut on Alvaro Torres is what he won't do if he's stuck behind Alberts and Beauchov for very much longer. So this is causing frustration, because Alberts effectively is an outright pace faster than Campos. But Campos now trying a daring move to the outside before the Degner curve, and still Campos cannot get through. He'll surely be getting very frustrated, but now behind goes speed again. He dives up the inside at the hairpin, and Alberts has to give him room. That was a very daring pass. So Campos must have got impatient and thought, forget this, I'm making the move now. And that was a move he had to make. Now he has to try and chase after Jarek Bolshevik in P8. Back at the front quickly, and Schneider has carried on, as has Ben Tusting, so it is still Schneider from Tusting. Gap is 3.3 seconds now. Torres has carried on and hasn't pit just yet. Daniel Kiss is also staying out too, as is Leitner. And then we've got Guerrero and Falcon still battling away over P6 this time, with Bolshov, Campos and Alberts now fighting over the final 3 top 10 spots. And here comes Campos, and closes in the slipstream, and turned in a little tighter than Bolshov did. So you see the direction change was much stronger. And look at how much Campos is almost pushing Bolshov along through the S-curves. And the longer he stays there, the longer he's going to keep on burning up his front tyres, getting stuck in the dirty air. He'll be losing that downforce, losing that grip. Campos, one of the fastest cars on the circuit, as in the slipstream, he was hitting 330 kilometres an hour. So that's over 200 miles per hour on the pit straight for Alessio Campos. So it looks like he has enough straight line speed to keep with the cars down the fast high speed sections, but maybe on areas such as the S-curves and the twistier first part of this course is where he's finding difficulty. But he is actually doing very well to stay with Bolshov at the moment for P8, although he does outbrake himself slightly and almost runs too deep into the corner. But he's going to get himself a super little exit onto the back straight through the crossover towards 130R, and Campos will pull alongside. He is there, but Bolshov just chops him off at the last minute. And in front, Falcon and Guerrero going at it, and Falcon has got past Guerrero. That's Falcon past for P6. So as one GS Pro Engineering car makes it past, another loses a place, although Falcon maybe repassed down towards the first corner. And there goes around the outside. But that was never going to work. And again, behind, Campos has got past Bolshov, forces Bolshov onto the AstroTurf on the exit of the first part of that first corner, and is through. Now then, Mark Alberts has just pitted from the lead. Sorry, he's pitted from P10 and rejoins in 14th. So looks like Schneider is comfortable on the tyres he's on. But we'll see. Is anyone requesting a pit stop at the moment? Not yet. Schneider feels comfortable.
You'd think they can just go a few more laps, then it would be down to a one-stop strategy for most of these leaders.
You would have thought so, because obviously, like I said, no tyre rules mean that these guys can run exactly as long as they want. So 2 hard tyre stints would make sense. Effectively, if these guys can go until lap 20, the end of lap 20, then yes, a 2-stop strategy will indeed be able to work. And I'm not expecting Schneider to pit in. In fact, no, he doesn't. Stays out. Tustin will carry on too. What about Alvaro Torres? He's going to carry on as well. And they're already lapping traffic. I see Paul Burnt has been lapped already by Schneider and Tustin, and Alvaro Torres is the next man that will come up to lap the back marker. Daniel Kiss in P4 with Leitner in P5. And Adrian Falcon in P6 will carry on, of course, no pit request for him. Same for Guerrero. And then Campos P8, Bolshov P9, and then now Renz Klopp P10 after the pit stop from Alberts. And Miko Suokas is up to P12 behind Francesconi. He's still got some way to try and catch up. Leonardo de Sales is P13 ahead of Mark Alberts in P14 after his pit stop. And then Jonford Holmes, Dennis Basili, who is still struggling with a very twitchy car out there. So obviously the setup on him, his setup is not as much as he'd like it to be, but doing well to carry on at the rate he is. Then Balash Galliard, Kevin Siggy way down in P18, really off the pace compared to what he managed before. Rauno Muru P19, then Valeriano, after that contact with Carlos Martin, is still going. So obviously the car wasn't as damaged as we first suspected, but Valeriano is carrying on, but all the way back down in P20. Now then, Campus in P8 is on the back of Fernando Guerrero, so Guerrero is looking like he'll lose another place this time. As Campus winds up for a pass into 130. Goes side to side, and that's a daring pass, forces Guerrero onto the runoff for tarmac. And that was great tactics there from Campus to make the move stick up into P7. So his next target is, of course, going to be Adrian Falcon, getting himself into P6. As they come across the start and finish line. But I think, yeah, Guerrero has pitted, so Guerrero's peeled off into pit lane. So I think really Guerrero was only too obliging to let Campus through, because there was no point in holding him up if he was going to make a pit stop. So Campus now, it's his turn to get stuck behind Adrian Falcon. As I see positions changing all over the place here. Have we lost Daniel Kiss? I think we have. We've lost Daniel Kiss. Now what's happened here? I think is that an off? It is an off. It's lag. It's a disconnection. So it looks to me as if Daniel Kiss is out of the race, and that is a real shame because he's lagged out. I can't see him on screen. So that possibly looks to be a disconnection, I think, for Daniel Kiss, which is a shame. Exactly the same fate that befell Carlos Martin. Oh, have we lost someone else as well? Or has someone pitted? Oh, Mark Alberts is back in. Has Mark Alberts gone off again? He has. Mark Alberts has gone off again for the second time. This time up at the Degner curves, his teammate Frank Schneider pits, but Mark Alberts has gone off for the second time. This time between the Degner curves. So Mark Alberts is really not having an enjoyable Japanese Grand Prix today. And I think he's damaged that car as well, because he was struggling to. He had to let Vasily through. But as we speak here, Campus up the inside of Falcon and got past. So Campus has got past Falcon as we were looking at that. And Alvaro Torres has just pitted as well. I think he has indeed, and Frank Schneider has too, as you mentioned. So race leader Frank Schneider has pitted, and he is now out behind Ben Tusting. I'm pretty sure Tusting will have to pit here. So this is interesting. Of course, with a lighter fuel load near the end of the stint, that will help with tyre wear. But pitting at the end of lap 18 means that 22 laps on the hard tyre. It's doable, but I think, James, they're going to have to look after them very carefully. Yeah,
I'm only just seeing Albert's mistake on the stream, and it's a weird one to make, isn't it? It just ran a bit too wide out of the first Degner, and you see that in real life F1, but I haven't seen that in FSR. I've seen a good few races here actually in FSR at Suzuka. It's a unique one, and I don't quite know how he managed to do that. But definitely not a good day for Mark Alberts. And I was just thinking actually, Ben Tusting in the lead at the moment. Of course, he's inherited that after pit stops, but only one win for the top three all season. In the World Trophy Series, and that's really strange. All the wins are coming from guys lower down in the championship. So if Ben Tusting could pull something off today, then that would be actually a turn up the books, having a win from the top three in the championship.
Well, Tusting has just pitted, made his pit stop from the lead, and Schneider has now resumed his position at the head of the field, so he will carry on as normal. And the two GS Pro Engineering cars have pitted. I just saw Michael Francesconi shooting up the order, and in fact he has shot up the order up to P6. Of course, yet to pit, I believe. So now Guerrero is just ahead of him. No pit request yet for Guerrero, for Francesconi, so I think he might be going till the end of this lap before he decides to peel off and make a pit stop. So as it stands then, as the pit stops are shaking themselves out, Frank Schneider still leads, but now has a 3.6 second advantage over Ben Tusting, so not really that much of a change in the order. But maybe Tusting might have just closed in a little bit. P3 is Norbert Lietner, ahead of his teammate Alessio Campos. Those two back in the same position they were before. But Campos this time with a great setup on his car for extreme top speed to help him out there. Then Alvaro Torres in P5, with Francesconi P6, and then Fernando Guerrero in P7, with Adrian Falcon and Yorick Boshov still together in 8th and 9th, and Renz Klopp rounding out the top 10 here at Suzuka. We are now working halfway. We've actually passed the halfway point, and Schneider's gone wide at turn 1. And how did he keep that car on the track? I'm unaware. Can we get a quick replay of that, please, Jaakko? I just spotted that as it kept caught my eye. And we ran wide. Oh, Schneider was very lucky not to head off into the sand there. If you look at it, he went over the exit curb in the middle of the first corner, and that was lightning reactions to keep that thing from going off. You'll see that in a minute, James. You give your take on it. But Schneider, one lucky boy. I think the Ghost Speed cars are obviously on the edge, feeling a bit ragged, but Schneider is definitely pushing the limits. And I think possibly after maybe hearing about what happened to his teammate, he may want to just tone it down a bit.
Yeah, I've literally just seen that going wide from Franz Schneider. Yeah, he just set a fastest lap, so got to be a bit excited. And yeah, he just got on the curb there, and as he corrected, just went a little wide. But it shows he's just pushing the envelope as hard as he can, and he's doing well at the moment. He's not really lost much time. So as long as he doesn't go onto the curbs too much, as we saw from Alberts, if you abuse them, you can pirouette if you're not too careful. Yeah, Schneider just pushing the envelope as hard as he can at the moment.
And Tusting's now starting to set some pretty quick lap times, because in fact, looking at my live timing, whereabouts is he right now? Fell off his first sector from Ben Tusting on those fresh tyres, 33.4 first sector, so brilliant stuff. They've matched each other in sector 1 and sector 2 with 43.6 each. And Tusting was a 10th quicker than Schneider in sector 3, so that's a 1:34.846, incredible time from Ben Tusting to bring the gap down to 2.6 seconds. And now this is Ben Tusting's time to charge on this second stint. He needs to try and take as much as he can out of take as much as he can out of this gap in order to get himself into contention for a race victory. 33.8 from Schneider in the first sector, 33.7 for Tusting. So they're closing in, closing all the time. Camper's still P3. In fact, there is a fight building right now for P3 between Campos and Torres. As we look at it now, and Torres has been running in P3 practically all race, if you like. Looking at how the stops have been shaking out. And Torres will look to try and make a pass anytime soon. And Alberts is gone. Mark Alberts, championship leader, is out of the race. He's just disconnected from the server. And is that a disconnection? And no, it's not an... Oh, I'll just see what happened. Quickly, Jaakko, we get a replay, because it was coming into the pits and he stuck behind Kevin Siggy. And because of that, coming into pit lane, didn't realise that Siggy was going so slowly. And, when he clipped the barrier, and that stalled his engine as well in the process. And Mark Alberts then will drop more points this afternoon to his championship rivals, especially Ben Tusting, because Ben Tusting is going to get himself a super little points haul, and Kevin Siggy, Jaakko's looking at it. Well, Jaakko, our broadcast director, is looking at it, saying that he looks like he didn't brake, which is very intriguing. But nevertheless, Siggy was in the pit entry and didn't really leave that much room. In fact, there was no room to get through. I'm not quite sure what Kevin was doing, but nonetheless,
I don't know what's been wrong with Mark Alberts today, because he's made so many mistakes. We didn't really like him. He's just all over the place today. He's exactly right. He didn't brake. At least he didn't brake until it was far too late. And he's very close, actually, to completely taking out Siggy. So really another inexplicable mistake, actually, from Mark Alberts.
It's difficult to judge, isn't it? And Fernando Guerrero has gone off at the hairpin. Back down to pin. He's lost his front wing as well. So if we get a quick replay of that, please, Jaakko, see exactly what's happened to him. Let's see here. Now I'm watching the replay as to what's gone on. And oh, well, it looks like possibly he's lagged into the wall. I think either that or he's just gone wide. But whatever's happened, Guerrero has lost his front wing up at the hairpin. I think possibly due to lag, and the lag has pushed him into the barrier. It could be a screen freeze, says Jaakko, so that could be a possibility. And it's teleported him into the barrier. And now Guerrero will have to make an impromptu visit to the pits. And I'm not sure the boys at Positive Sim Racing will be too impressed by that. But Guerrero can put his hands up and say, hey, wasn't my fault. Anyway, Franz Schneider still leads then. 2.7 seconds is the gap, and Tusting isn't really making any inroads at the moment, because Schneider has a response at the moment for everything Tusting is throwing at him. With Campus now having to fend off Alvaro Torres. We'll look at this battle then. Battle for P3, Campus and Torres. Torres tries to go to the outside, but Campus covers the inside line well. Now through the long 200R corners, very long high-speed left-hander, flat out all the way. And then to the second sector with the spoon curve, the end of the second sector, as they head through the spoon curve and on towards 130R. This fantastic long back straight as they start to crest the rise. And they cross over the run on the exit of the Degner curves through the 130R. And Torres is in striking distance. Just darts out again to have a look. Campos is wise to anything that Torres can throw at him. Unless Torres can pull off a move here. He's very close. He's practically on his gearbox as they head onto the pit straight. And Torres now will go side by side with Campos down towards the first corner. They're banging wheels. And Torres forced Campos to back out of it. And Torres was the braver of the two drivers and makes the move stick. So a great pass for Torres to get himself into P3 ahead of Campos. Leitner's P5 ahead of Falcon and Boshov for GS Pro Engineering. So good strategy from both of those guys to get up into P6 and 7 in their striking white and red livery. Of course, the sister team of the Works Go Speed outfit. And then Renz Klopp from the back of the field up to P8. Great drive from him so far. Could be a contender for driver of the day if he carries on at this race. Michael Francesconi is P9. And then Miko Suokas is rounding out your top 10. The recovering Jonathan Holmes is up to P11 ahead of Dennis Basili. And then Leonardo de Souza, Fernando Guerrero, who's of course rejoined after his pit stop to fit a new front wing. Balash Galyar, Daniel Kiss. Oh, Daniel Kiss is still running. There must have been a major screen freeze because he's down in P16. So Daniel Kiss is still running. I thought he retired due to a disconnection, but we do still have a twister car in the event, which is rather nice to see, albeit down in P16. Rano Muru P17, and then DeWald Nell in P17 in a battle with Kevin Siggy. And Siggy tried to make a move up the inside, and then we've got Gabriele Del Piccolo, Francesco Valeriano, and then we've had James Sadler is battling with Bassett. In fact, he's lapping. I think he's being lapped by Bassett and actually holding him up, so I'm not sure what's going on there. And we've lost, of course, in the race Paul Burns, Mark Alberts, Carlos Martin and Joao Gabriel at the first lap due to an accident, which is unfortunate. At the chat, let's have a look. We have some questions. Do you think Campos will make it to the finish without stopping again? Possibly. Drivers are looking to try and get himself into a one-stop strategy, which a lot of the drivers are running today. So it could be intriguing to see how it plays out. Some are looking to run a two-stop, a soft tyre stint in there as well. So that could be, it's possible. I think Campos is good to run to the end, I think, because he was battling. Yeah, he was battling with Torres. So a top 5 finish definitely looks as though it's on the cards for him. People are asking. Let's have a look. Where is Huis? Wrong championship, my friend. That's the world championship, not the world trophy. World championship is later on this afternoon. And this is intriguing because I'm hearing now from Jaakko is that apparently Jaakko thinks Campos should pit for soft tyres because he's 15 seconds off 5th place, which is true. So that's Adrian Falcon. So it could work. Soft tyres for Campos at the end could potentially. In fact, he is coming in, so he's obviously listening because Campos pits in again. He will bolt on a set of soft tyres. And the two GS Pro Engineering cars are just making their way through the Casio triangle right now, so they will head on to pit straight right about now. And is Campus going to get away? Oh, it's going to be close. But no, the two GS Pro cars will sweep past, but Campus on those soft tyres should be able to power past both of them pretty quickly. He's done it before and he can do it again.
One question which you just missed in the chat there, Scott, which one is the best? What, WC, WS or WT? I answered in the chat, I said I think it's WS, but what's your opinion?
Well, before I ask, Jaakko's in an OMG moment. What have you found? Oh, Campus has made contact. Let's have a look. Get the replay, because I actually missed that whilst looking at the chat, so let's have a look. Oh, that wasn't contact, Jaakko. He just lost the back end of the car across the gravel. Oh, and Klopp and Leitner were so close not to make contact. So Campus then gets going. That's obviously cold tyres that's caused that. Jaakko saying he hit the camera, but I don't think he did. I'm going to look at his onboard. Looking at it from my point of view, no, either there was contact due to lag, but on my screen, he was close, but he lost the back end of the car by himself.
I'm pretty sure, seeing it from the stream, there was contact. He hit his left, rear right tyre, actually, I think, with his front wing, and that's the one. Right rear, yes. Sorry, I'm so not used to speaking that whenever I do speak, just garbled rubbish seems to be coming out. But I'm trying to do the best I can. Yeah, it does look like there was just a little bit of contact, and that just spun his car around, almost like because that one corner of his car was going slow because he hit the back of the other car. That actually is what kind of turns him around. Kind of a strange little glitch in the game's physics, almost.
So I must have been a little bit of lag, a little bit of a gap on my screen, because if there was contact, that is fair enough. Whilst we're looking at that, Norbert Leitner has got past Rens Klopp, so change for position there. I've seen another change for positions, I think, between who has gone? Someone disappeared. We've lost the World Nell, so he's out of the race. And I've just seen James Sadler in P21 out the pits, stone dead last. So there we go. And Schneider still leads in by 3.4 seconds from Ben Tusting, who has just lapped Rauno Muru, with Alvaro Torres still running in P3 in almost kind of no man's land, in fact, because he's out there. He's got some 13 seconds ahead of, but he's 13 seconds behind Tusting, and he's currently 17 seconds ahead of the two GS Pro Engineering cars. So Torres looking very, very, very comfortable for P3 at the moment. Let's see. Falcon and Beauchamp 4th and 5th. Leitner is still battling with Klopp, I think. In fact, no, he might have actually pulled away. Oh, there we go. My factor froze for a second, but it's now got back to. It's now come good again. So, Campus to the inside of Klopp for 7th, and he's made the move stick. Brilliant, aggressive pass there. Brilliant aggressive pass from Alessio Campus to make that move stick. And I'm pretty sure now his next target is definitely going to be Norbert Leitner, who's not too far ahead. They've got the lapped car of Giordano Valeriano in front to try and look after. And I think there's a timing glitch, because a few cars are showing as a lap down. Some cars have not come across the timing beam, so I think we might possibly have a timing glitch here. But Schneider still leads, on track at least. But yeah, I think it's the first sector timing beam that's doing it, because I'm not seeing any gaps coming through at the moment for some drivers. So Schneider from Tusting still, Torres still P3, who has just lapped Kevin Siggy. And yeah, I think we've got a timing glitch. We definitely have a timing glitch at the moment, because I'm not getting gaps for a lot of the cars on the server. So hopefully that will fix itself in a moment. But we do now, because we've got Campus and Klopp have just popped up in the Sector 2 timing beam. So it's obviously in Sector 1 where there was a small hiccup.
didn't answer my question. Which one's the best?
Oh yes, of course. Think. I think
From Le Denny.
in terms of quality of drivers, obviously the World Championship is good. I think the World Championship for quality of drivers is the best, obviously, because it's the top level of FSR. If we're looking at quality of races, it's a tough one because I think it varies from circuit to circuit. I think you get some circuits where someone like Bono Woodwiss will run away with it, and you won't get too much overtaking. And then you'll get some races where there's a lot of there's a lot of frantic, a lot of drivers who on that day are on the same or similar pace to each other, and as a result they will just continue to fight each other for quite a while. So it's intriguing. I think that if you're looking at I think in terms of cleanliness, I think we'll go in terms of this weekend so far. Of course, we haven't judged World Championship just yet, but surprisingly, World Trophy has been a lot cleaner than people might expect, because you've got a lot of new drivers in here. You've got a lot of drivers who are just starting out in FSR, who joined the World Trophy to try and see if they can make a name for themselves. And amazingly, they're actually taking to it a little more attentively, because I think they know that they have to take it slow and steady and not take too many big risks to try and when they're starting out. So I think the World Trophy drivers actually have a bit more sense than the World Series ones do in some cases, because the World Series race yesterday wasn't all that clean. There was quite a few incidents going on, and I'm not sure what was going through some drivers' minds, but there we go. And then in the World Championship, you do get the odd driver who does occasionally misbehave. In the driver, he doesn't really stick to the rules and doesn't drive fairly. But the quality of the driving from the quality of the drivers is, of course, top line in the World Championship. But the quality of the driving and the racing sometimes is a bit questionable. So I would probably say, in order, World Championship is the best of the three championships. But at the moment, I think, oh dear! I was watching Campus. Campus makes a mistake through the Degner curves, and just about keeps it off the gravel. A very similar mistake to that which almost made it turn one. Got his car a little wide. The car snaps, and just about got it corrected up. But yeah, I would say in order, World Championship, then at the moment World Trophy, and then World Series, I think, on that one. Meanwhile, Norbert Lietner has caught Jarek Boschov in the first of the GS Pro Engineering cars, and he'll be sizing him up for a pass to get himself into the top 5. They head down towards the Casio Triangle, and negotiated as one almost. Oh, and a huge twitch from Lietner as he gets a snap oversteer on the exit of that corner, and he's fallen out of the slipstream, which means he's got it all to do again for this lap. And now as he closes in again under braking for the first corner, and now through the S around the back of the pit. So this is where he'll start to lose aerodynamic grip, because he's getting caught up in that dirty air, the turbulence from the rear of Boschov's GS Pro Engineering car. But it's not stopping him at all, because Lietner almost tries to get himself alongside in the middle of the S curves. Oh, what a huge slide again from Lietner. How on earth is that car still pointing in the right direction through the Degner curves? And he's getting a great exit now to line up Boschov for a pass in the next few turns. He won't make it here, because Boschov is holding firm. But I'm pretty sure that if Lietner just stays where he is, they'll make the pass down the back straight towards 130R. And he's as close as you ever want to be to get yourself into position. And that is just, you couldn't get yourself, that is the best position you could be in. And in the tow, here comes Lietner, but he's not, look at that, he pulls out and loses straight line speed, of course, because he's not in the slipstream. But he's now going to line himself up for a pass down the inside the Casio Triangle, under the brakes, job done. Great move. It done at 130R, but put himself alongside at the triangle. And now, of course, Alessio Campos fancies to go as well. The man who can run 330 Ks on the straights with that lower downforce setup. And Boschov tried to come back at Lietner, but all it did was put him back into the clutches of Campos now. And back at the front quickly, as we've almost forgotten about them, Franz Schneider is once again putting in another great performance. And he is now pushing on. Now back to Campus, who has now closed in through the S-curves on Boshov, and he's, again, you don't want to try and pass up the Degner curves, it's pretty impossible to do that. But, again, exactly the same scenario as we saw a lap ago with Leitner. Just holding on. And Campus seems to be getting rather reckless at times, rather all over the place and wayward. But we'll see if that nature stays true and if it continues to be like that later on. Now Campus, again, he's as close as Leitner was last time around, and Leitner's already started his pursuit of Adrian Falcon. And again, Campus, I'm sure, will line himself up, stay in the tow through 130R. And will he dive to the inside of the chicane? No, this time he tries to force Boshov's hand and push him wide as a result of breaking himself, but Boshov realised exactly what Campus was trying to do. Down the pit straight they go. Leitner darts out and has a look at Falcon. Campus again does the same with Boshov, just to dart out for a second. And now again, the run behind the pits. This is a great scrap going on between these two. This is the closest battle on track, in fact. These four. This is over. The best of the rest outside the podium places. This is for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. And it's now a case of both GS Pro Engineering cars are having to fend off a Netrex car. So it's Netrex doing the attacking. Oh, and Leitner trying to go down the outside of Falcon now for P4. And if he can hold the outside line, if he gets to pull this off, almost did it, but Falcon just about covered off the exit. That would have been a magical pass if Leitner would be able to pull that one off, but down towards Spooko. Can he dive up the inside? He can, goes too deep, makes contact. Falcon pushes him wide as a result, but I don't think he can help that, because Leitner did dive up the inside, and as Leitner tries to rejoin the track, Falcon's car was already there on the racing line, and Falcon had every right to be there, so I don't think Leitner can really complain about that one, because Leitner did it to himself. As Campus behind tries to go down the inside, he does, and Leitner tries to go around the outside. Incredible! So both Netrex cars get past both the GS Pro Engineering cars and in one corner at the same time. And now look at that's Boshov trying to go to the outside alongside Campus and sweeps back past again. So now Campus has been shuffled back to the end of the train, and now both of the GS Pro cars are now bookended by a Netrex machine. Leitner in the Netrex Tradition car and Campus in the Works Netrex team car. And Campus trying to go round the outside at the end of the S-curves on Boshov, but couldn't quite make that stick. Working lap 35 of 40, we're heading towards the final 5 laps of this race here at Suzuka. Round 11 of the Thrustmaster Formula Sim Racing World Trophy here at Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. And the story of the race has mainly been Franz Schneider leading it from pole position. Fantastic at the start, momentarily got his nose in front, but Schneider quickly blocked him off and has held the lead practically ever since. So these four continue to duel here on the back straight. Leitner now is away and can brake, is clean away and can brake, is through and can break away from the pursuing pack behind him. Campus, meanwhile, still has some work to do. He still has to get past Boshov again, and then if he can, set his sights on Adrian Falcon. So we'll keep an eye on that, see if he can close up. Behind, I can see that Renz Klopp is in P8. Again, great drive from the back of the field. Mikko Suokas holds on to P9. And then Michael Francesconi is rounding out the top 10. So it will be a double top 10 for Pescara, which they can be very pleased about. And Fernando Guerrero, who after his mistake, after it looks like he had a screen freeze and had to change his front wing, or get his front wing replaced, he's back down in P11, ahead of Leonardo de Souza. Then Daniel Kiss in P13, who is about to be lapped by Fran Schneider. But we go back to Campos, who is going side by side with Bosov on the exit of the hairpin, trying to go around the outside and up towards the spoon curve he goes again. He went on the inside of the hairpin, looks like he braked himself, but he's gone wide at the spoon curve and lost himself a few car lengths. And that won't have done him any favours. Back down towards 130R they go. Bosov 6th, Campos 7th. It's crucial points, crucial few more points that they can take off each other if he can make it stick. And looking ahead, Leitner has cleared away and taken 4th.
It's a real massive dive from Campos up the hairpin there. He really jammed on the brakes and shot up the inside, and then just a good little crossover move from Bosov to take it back.
Indeed.
It just proves how good your commentary is, Scott, because I'm hearing what's happening, and I can imagine it in my head, then 30 seconds later I see it, and it's not much different to what I imagined.
Well, I've been told I overanalyse things too much, but in commentating you can never overanalyse. But people love analysis, people love you going into detail, so that's
who
exactly
said
what
that?
I'm trying to do.
Probably people who don't commentate is what said.
Possibly. But yes, probably people who have said that you don't commentate, said I overanalyse, but there you go. Lap 38 now of 40, so we get into the last 3 laps of the race, and it's Fran Schneider who is currently leading still by 4 seconds from Ben Tusting. Alvaro Torres is holding on to P3. Norbert Leitner now in P4 still, but Adrian Falcon's closed in, and I reckon that Falcon's found a bit more pace here as Campos behind is lining up Bosov again, but I'm not sure where to look because Falcon's looking to pass Leitner and Campos is trying to get past Bosov. First of all, Falcon can't get past it. Oh, he spins! Adrian Falcon locks up the rears and spins in the middle of the Casio triangle, as behind, Campos trying to go up the inside of Bosov and couldn't make that stick, so Bosov holds the line. So Falcon's now dropped back as a result of that half spin, and I think that was possibly him getting a bit over enthusiastic trying to get past Leitner. And Campos now is again causing headaches for Bosov as they head through the first couple of corners and into the S-curves again. And Campos is running out of time. He has to get it done in these next couple of laps, because he can see if he wants to get himself a top 5, he has to get past Bosov now and then really start to attack and take everything out of those tyres in the last couple of laps to close in on Falcon, because Leitner is pretty much away and gone. Leitner has a substantial gap, has a big enough gap to, I would class myself safe. Although always say that, and Leitner locks up the rears and gets a huge oversteer moment into the hairpin. And Campos again is in close proximity to Bosov as they head up towards Spoon Curve. Now, how much can Campos close in through here? At all. It's a better run, so I think possibly he might get himself into the tow again. And he's close, he's getting closer, but how much closer is he going to get? We'll see. Through 130R they go. The 4 of them, Leitner, Falcon, Bosov, Campos. They'll start the penultimate lap, and Campos is going to have to pull out all the stops if he wants to get himself into a top 5 place. He has 2 GS Pro Engineering cars in front, of course, of Bosov and Falcon. Let's see what he can do here. And of course, we'll have to keep track of what's happening with our race leader, Fran Schneider. And Bosov appears to be getting a slipstream from his teammate, which negates the effect of the slipstream, or cancels out the slipstream that Campos is getting off Bosov. And I think we've lost someone. Someone's dropped down a little bit. I think if we lost, I'm not sure, someone was dropping down the order, but possibly maybe a timing glitch or something. End of the first sector. You can see how close Campos is. And intriguingly, just ahead. Falcon has closed in on Leitner. So the battle for P4 might not necessarily be over just yet, because it looks as though Leitner doesn't have his... I think Falcon has looked after his tyres a little bit better, and Leitner is suffering from tyre wear here, because Falcon is closing. But Campus isn't. He's actually fallen back from Beauchevert a little bit. Onto the back straight. See how this plays out. Falcon closing in, closing. Beauchevert getting a little bit of a toe, but not much. And now, as Frank Schneider is already on the final lap, he is already whereabouts he is. He took the Degner curve, so we'll keep track of where he is for the moment. If Jaakko can tell me where he is, if he's on the back straight in just a second, because we are keeping close tabs on this battle for the lead. So he's at the hairpin right now, as the battle of fourth heads on to the final lap, and this is now or never. Falcon has to get it done this lap, as does Campus. And hopefully, if we look away for the moment at Frank Schneider, because those four will continue to battle, I'm pretty sure. But up towards 130R for the final time. He has led from pole. Tustin took it momentarily. And since then, he's been able to create a gap big enough to allow Tustin to have to settle for second. It's going to be crucial points taken away from Mark Alberts, who disconnected and did not finish the race. But his teammate Frank Schneider will have it today. Out of the final corner for the last time. It is another victory in this season's World Trophy for Frank Schneider. And look at how he gets over the line just, and then promptly wrecks his car. So that's what tells you just how happy Frank Schneider was. So happy, he got overexcited and practically went across the line sideways. Second place for Tusting, and third for Alvaro Torres. But for P4, this is perfectly timed, because they're coming onto the back strip for the last time, and Leitner's getting defensive. Falcon will go to the inside. He's in the slipstream. Campus can't do anything about Beauchevert, but to the inside of the 130R, Falcon gets through. At the 130R, the final lap, will Leitner dive back down the inside? Yes, he will. And Falcon tries to go around the outside, and there's contact. Leitner off into the barriers. Well, not quite, he's off onto the grass, and he might get beached. I don't believe it. And 3-1 for the line. And Falcon just gets it. Beauchevert fifth, and Campus gets sixth. And poor Norbert Leitner, he's beached his car on the grass, on the verge, in the middle of the Casio triangle, and he's cooking his engine as well. Oh, that is absolute heartbreak for Norbert Leitner. I feel so sorry for him, because that was such a great battle. And if we can rewind all the way of that one, Jaakko, let's get a replay of that, because that was an incredible last couple of corners. So going down the 130R, we're seeing Falcon then moves to the inside of Leitner and gets the move done. He thinks he's safe. Leitner gets back into the slipstream and then dives up the inside. Falcon then moves around the outside. There was contact. And to be fair, Leitner, that looks like a racing incident in some cases to me, because Leitner had the inside line. Falcon turned across, and I think was possibly surprised that Leitner was there. As a result, kept it off the barriers. But Leitner has to settle for P11, which is a real shame.
We're about to watch it in real time. So
that is
they're going down the straight into the 130R now.
Are you that far behind?
Yeah, I'm that far behind. Yeah.
Well, if you look, watch it, and let's just take your
Oh yeah, that was a bit of a messy contact, really, wasn't it? It's really how he gets beached as well. That's really unfortunate. His front wheels are off the ground, just dangling there. And wow, 3 wide to the line as well. Yeah, but he only just cut back to that in time, actually. Yeah, but that was wow.
But that was with a back marker though. That was with one of the back markers. I think possibly it was Kevin Siggy. I think because he did that.
Oh right, okay.
But there was the two GS Pro Engineering cars who were separated by 1/10 of a second across the line, but Falcon just edged out his teammate Beauchevert, which is incredible. Incredible stuff. But
it's one of the most frustrating feelings, isn't it, for someone like Leitner, when you race a whole race, you spend your afternoon racing 40 laps around the Suzuka circuit, then it all comes down to the final time into the Casio triangle, and you get beached on the outside of the corner after a silly contact.
As I said, it's obviously the likes of obviously Mark Alberts and such have had similar incidents today, but that is just how it goes, unfortunately, in sim racing. Of course, Carlos Martin, of course, got caught up in that contact with Valeriano just at 1:30R, of course. But let's quickly run through how they finished
Don't forget
today.
Carlos Martin as well. He was unfortunate, wasn't he?
And indeed, that's the incident I just mentioned on that one about.
Oh, sorry.
This is fine. Right then, so finishing order for today's World Trophy Japanese Grand Prix. It's a win for Franz Schneider again, and he will get himself some very valuable points towards his championship charge. Ben Tusting, that's valuable points he's taken out of Mark Alberts, who didn't finish today. So he will definitely have moved up in the order. In fact, looking at how much he will have scored, if I take a refresh of how many points he will have got, I believe it must have been 40. So he will get himself onto 258 if that's the case. Yes, he will. So he's now closed in. The gap between him and Mark Alberts is 9 points now in the fight for the championship. So it's a close championship in World Series and a close championship in World Trophy. Can't really say the same about World Championship, but we'll see that later on, of course. Moving on to third place, Alvaro Torres, who was very happy with P3. Then the carambolage at the end of the race for P4, which ended up with Adrian Falcon just edging out teammate Yorick Boshov by 1/10 of a second. But GS Pro Engineering will be very happy with that. Both cars in the top 5 and some very solid points towards their championship tally. Alessio Campos was 6th. Renz Klopp gets my driver of the day. P7 from the back of the grid. So he gets my driver of the day today. So congratulations to Renz if he's listening. Miko Suokas thankfully gets P8 after he saying he had a bit of lag on his screen and a screen freeze. So P8 for him still. Good job from the CCGP driver. Michael Francesconi makes sure it's both Pushkara cars into the top 10 with 9th. And then Leonardo de Souza rounds up the top 10. And I would give you the rest of the grid, but I've been boosted out the server so because it has disconnected. So from what you saw of it, James, I guess thoughts on the race today. Of course, unlucky for Mark Alberts because he's lost a lot of points. But it does mean now that with the result which Ben Tusting has gained today with 2nd place and 40 points, it makes it now a really intriguing and exciting battle for the championship moving into the last 4 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, there was great racing today, but I think the main story coming out of Suzuka is the championship has really been shaken up. And as you say, Ben Tusting just continuing to be as consistent, getting those podiums again and again. He hasn't won a race yet, but I think he probably will do if he carries on racing like this. He may well get a race win before the end of the year, and that might be what he needs actually to win this championship. But yeah, all those guys who are far up in the championship, Alberts, Martin, even others like let's have a look. Even Daniel Kissakor's not having a good day as well. All really shaking it up in the championship standings, and I think that's been the real highlight of today. It was really an exciting race. It's a shame I couldn't join in more, but it was great to hear your commentary before I even saw what was happening in the race. It was a unique insight, perhaps I could say, into how they do it, because it was clever how I managed to get the cameras onto what you were talking about 30 seconds after you'd actually talked about it. So I know the trick now.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and hopefully you guys in the chat enjoy the commentary as well. I did try to give it as best I could, but of course it now means that we move on to the next round of the championship, which is of course the Korean Grand Prix, at the Korean International Circuit in Yeongnam Province. So of course we'll see that the next time we'll see the World Trophy, you guys. But of course the action is not over for the FSR, because of course we have the centrepiece event still to come, and it is the World Championship. If you guys are going to come and tune in, be sure to be here at about 4:15 GMT time, 5:15 UK time. I'll be commentating alongside Nick Rowland. Nick will be doing lead comms, and I'll be there just to as a co/colour commentator, hopefully, and giving my inputs as well. As usual, and it's good to be back commentating alongside Nick, because I wasn't here in Monza, because I was helping cover a 24-hour race at Snetterton at the weekend, and it's nice to go away and do some stuff like that, but it's always nice to come back and commentate an FSR, so it should be a really exciting race. Of course, Bono Huis will try and take another step closer to the championship, and bear in mind, if he does win today, and his main championship rivals don't make an impact, it's more than likely that he could effectively have a chance of wrapping up his 4th consecutive World Championship in the race after today's event, which is Korea, which is annoying because I won't be around for that one. So if he wins the championship in the race I'm not around, I might be a bit annoyed by that. But anyway, For now, though, hopefully you enjoyed today's World Trophy broadcast. Of course, thanks to broadcaster, our cameraman Jaakko Mikkonen. Again, fantastic job on cameras, I'm sure, as always. And also to Sam Jones, our broadcast director, and to our main partners, of course, to Thrustmaster, to racedepartment.com, of course to RSeat as well, SimSync Pro, SimRace.tv, and of course to YouTube for helping host this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed also the interaction in the chat as well, which we'll try and get some of that in the World Trophy, in the World Championship as well. And of course, my thanks, of course, to James Tucker. Unfortunately, James couldn't watch most of the race, but thank you very much for commentating with me today.
Yeah, it's been great. Fantastic job from you when we didn't have quite the usual setup.
Absolutely. And for myself, Scott Woodwiss, well, I will catch you guys later on for the World Championship. But for now, it's Franz Schneider who takes the victory in the World Trophy. What will happen? But for myself and James, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you soon. Bye for now.